Welcome, everybody, to Difficult Research. My name is Cresha Easton, and I am the niece of Charles Vallow, the aunt of J.J. Vallow, the cousin or step cousin of Tylee Ryan. My mom is Kay Woodcock, and my dad's Larry Woodcock. They are the grandparents that everyone knows, everyone associates with this case. So today I am going to start going over discussing the book that was very influential in Lori and Chad's belief system. And it is a book called Visions of Glory. It is written by John Pontius. He was a ghostwriter for Tom G. Harrison or Thomas G. Harrison. But in the book, he is referenced as Spencer. So that'll come into play later. Just know that. And since publishing the book, John Pontius, the ghostwriter, he passed away. His widow, Terry Pontius, unless she remarried, I don't know, still runs his unblogmysoul.com, his website. And anyways, let me just get started. So, Visions of Glory, what readers are saying about Visions of Glory. These are some of the reviews. Only one of them left their name, so that should also tell you something. Visions of Glory is one man's astonishing account of the last days. This is the 5-year anniversary edition. It's a Latter-day Saint bestseller book, and it's sold in Seal Book. Of course, I can't think of all of them now. Deseret Book. Deseret Book has a thing on him that says John M. Pontius was born in Moscow, Idaho, and was taught to love God and the scriptures from his youth. He served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in South Africa, has taught seminary and institute. Brother Pontius is married to Terry Jean Pontius. They have 8 wonderful children and 2 grandchildren. It is their joy that they are all faithful, active in the church, and temple-worthy people. Well, awesome. Okay, so John Pontius is a well-known, if not infamous, figure in the sphere of church-related literature. He is known for such books as Following the Light of Christ, Into His Presence, and Visions of Glory, the latter of which has been a cause of some controversy a while back. This is according to a post I'm reading on thirdhour.org, which is an LDS-based blog site. Let's see, it says, so it's called, and this is back in May of 2020, okay? It says, caused some controversy a while back. He has a small but dedicated fan base, many of which are quite industrious in publishing their own literature and studies. I have a few family members who swear by him, but I'm not totally sure how I feel about him just yet. Any opinions? So first, my own opinion, they say, from what little I've read from him, he seems to know the scriptures very well, as they all do. Whether what he writes is true doctrine or not, you can tell he hasn't ever deliberately wrested the scriptures to prove his point. But so that's poignant right there. He has not ever deliberately wrested the scriptures to prove his point, but declares them as he sees them. And see, they're thinking John Pontius wrote it, and he wrote it, but it's not. It's based on his 3 near-death experiences. That'd be Tom G. Harrison. That being said, there's just something about his books that make me uncomfortable. In particular, his description of the city of Zion in Visions of Glory just makes me feel sick for an unknown reason, even though it seems perfectly plausible. Many of his fans, though earnest, seem to fixate on some points of doctrine to the point of missing the mark by my estimation. Yes. Let me see if there's anything else. And somebody else says, I've not read his books. I'm not sure exactly of him, but I know many of those who follow his ideas, such as Julie Rowe, seem to be part of a New Age portion of saints who have some unique ideas about near death experiences, many of which are not actually near death experiences, in my opinion, and out of body experiences. New Age idealism has tossed a lot of murkiness around the idea of near death experiences. Instead of having valid near death experiences as given by those who truly had such, they have many who were later shown to never have had such a near death at all. Say they have, I'm sorry, say they had such things occur to them and give wildly conflicting ideas about the afterlife and things after death. In many ways, they tend to conflict with other near death experiences of those who are not part of this New Age movement. One of the ideas of the New Age movement is that they do not just have a near death experience, but have repeat experiences. They tried to meld the idea of near death and out of body as the same type of thing and same type of experience in order to try to validate their own ideas. One difference is that by doing this, they can say they have repeat experiences which occur often via visions and dreams rather than one time near death experience. They promote new age ideas such as mysterious beings that are one with the universe rather than the other item, and in many instances seem to have an agenda to promote new ageism over that of simply relating what happens after death. It seems that once people join this sort of following, they suddenly all have these out of body experiences. They all have to say they've had one. It is not really listening uh, it is not really listening as more of promoting one's own ideas among them and trying to yell the loudest, which Roe was very successful at for a while. They sure do like to talk, so they write long posts, long books, long speeches, long everything. Sorry, I had to take a sip. Okay. Now, how much of that of which I say is true, I could not tell you. I do not know. The confusion of everyone talking about things at once with which conflict with each other and yet try to say the same things make the water far too murky for me to be able to tell which ones are being truthful and which ones are not being truthful. It's a very hard thing to determine. They go on to say, among the saints, visions of glory seem to be the members' version of New Ageism. This person is obsessed with New Ageism labels, which is currently promoted through the rest of the world. It is their form of the branch, which is being followed, but is part of a larger whole. Yeah, the church, LDS Church. Once again, no idea how much of it is true or not. It could be the whole thing is true, but with how murky the tides are with these groups, it's a very hard thing to be able to tell. It may be that John Pontius's writings are exactly the truth and reveal what he has seen or found out the best he knows how. I do not know for myself, but when reading them, perhaps guided by the Spirit, on which is truth would be a good indicator to one in their personal pursuit of knowledge. I tend to he says, I tend to distrust a lot of the stuff that comes out of these groups myself. But that is not really a good indicator for your own determinations. And some people, oh, yeah, here's one caught my eye. Wow. It says, this is on May 11th, 2020. So just, okay. This person says, I have not read this book either. Is he in the same group with Chris Daybell? Not Chad. Chris Daybell and Lori Vallow, who are in deep trouble in Rexburg for her missing children? Well, let's see if there's any answers to that. Let me see. I'm just scanning through. Somebody else says there is a subset of members of the church who simply can't leave the mysteries of God alone. That's because they entice you to. They say they dangle the carrot and lead people that way. And I say they, I mean leadership. Just saying. Anyways, it says they crave answers, explanations, and personal revelations beyond what the prophets provide. May have a long Oh, I'm sorry. Many have a longing to go back in time to the early days. There you go. Your early scriptures that LDS members say that the church has disavowed, but it's not true because how many times, how many cults, how many offshoots can one church produce? That is not a challenge. That is just a rhetorical question. So I'm starting to question. I'm not starting. It's time we start questioning the church for the labels that they put out, in my opinion, because it's their people. You can't just disavow the people that you didn't disavow before they murdered people. Just saying. You can't distance when it's convenient for you every time. I think that's what how every offshoot was labeled an offshoot. It's not a cult. It's just it's just some LDS members that active, temple worthy, tithe paying, uh, disciples, uh, humble disciples, who are being led astray by their leadership. And then once they go rogue, oh my gosh, the church does everything and anything in its power to distance themselves from the one that got away, the rogue wave. So I think it's disheartening, really, because it's not a way to tell Tylee, Tammy, JJ, Charles, and Joe's. Did I say all their names? Tammy, Charles, Tylee, JJ, Joe. It's not going to tell their story. And that's the rest of the story. The rest of the story is it would be great if the church would come clean, in my opinion. I suspect that they are way more involved in the, let's say, the influence, the heavy influence, if not more, of Chad and Lori Daybell and what they did. And that I'm going to say allegedly, I'm going to cover my ass because I am not a multi-billion-dollar church, nor do I have that much influence and power. So my kind tend to get killed off, if you know what I mean. So the book was written in 2012. And it says, to Jesus Christ for every good thing, to Terry, my best friend and fellow pilgrim, who taught me the most important thing I know, to Spencer, Tom G. Harrison, for a lifetime of holding to the rod. John Pontius also wrote Journey to the Veil, Following the Light of Christ into His Presence, The Triumph of Zion, Our Personal Quest for the New Jerusalem, and he has a Millennial Quest series, Spirit of Fire. It was formerly Angels in Coveralls. So, okay. And he also, additional books, essays, and fireside soundtracks are available at www.followingthelight.org and on the Unblog, http unblogmysoul.wordpress.com. So the contents, let's go to the foreword. Foreword is Visions of Glory, one man's astonishing account of the last days, is an account of Spencer's 3 near-death experiences. So Tom G. Harrison's 3 near-death experiences and years of subsequent visions of his yet future journey through the latter days. All of them are related here as I want to say Tom instead of Spencer. Honestly, I'll say Spencer though. Just know that that's Tom Harrison, who's alive and well in Utah, allegedly. And he's allegedly he is a counselor who works for Tim Ballard referenced, and I've heard Mike and Nancy James in their comments not long ago, within the past 2 weeks, stating that uh, he counsels some of the rescue kids from OUR's rescue missions, which I find completely bogus and or disturbing and alarming. Anyways, all right, so all of them are related here, as Spencer told them to me in over 50 hours of interviews. Every vision and experience recorded herein is Spencer's, but most of the language is a result of my effort to put into words what Spencer was describing for me in a narrative form. I tried to preserve his choice of words and manner of speaking throughout. Spencer has never spoken most of these visions out loud and has kept them to himself and treasured them up in his heart, which meant he had to dig deeply to find the words to describe things which have no analog in common mortal experience. I have never met anyone like Spencer. He is loving and kind, and his face literally glows with the spirit as he describes his experiences. He tears up when he uses the name of the Savior, and he is deeply interested in everything spiritual. His demeanor is that of a true saint, one whose life is fully dedicated to Christ. I did not find any conceit or arrogance in him. Just the opposite. He seemed to be unaware of how precious he is, how profoundly revealing his visions are, and how far he has seen beyond the limits of human sight. Spencer is a lifelong member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He presently serves as an ordinance worker in the temple.